Hey everybody, Jason Bermas here, and we are live with John Fitch. It is Mixed Martial Mindset. We got a lot to talk about, John. More Elon Musk nonsense that people are probably not aware of, but now the Russian military and Space Force are actually threatening Elon. They are talking about how he is under military contract to put up their internet. Elon is responding on Twitter, by the way. Oh yeah. And the head of the space agency in Russia, you know, because it's all about going to the moon and Mars, and it's not about space warfare, has declared that within 30 minutes with their space warfare technology, they could crush NATO and end them altogether, make them extinct, John. So that lets me know that obviously me and you, I think we're going to the moon in like 5 years. We're going. We're going on a space tour. Elon Musk's going to take us there.
Asteroids. No, yeah, we're going to go to re-education camps on meteorites, and we're going to have to. Part of our education is we're going to have to, mine for the minerals that they're using in the Teslas for their warplanes.
I mean, all of it sounds loving and awesome. And you know what, man? I've been having the weirdest luck with.
Hey, we're going to paint rainbow. We're going to paint rainbow flags on all the bombs and missiles, though, bro. It's going to be all right.
This is not, are you like, am I the only one that's having crazy problems with Twitter? I'm just going to show people this because I wanted to kind of lead the show with it. I had it up there, and then all of a sudden I'm having cache issues, but I'm not having cache issues anywhere else but Twitter. So like here is the thing that got sent. Here's his reply, but we can't even watch it. And I've just had the worst luck with Twitter. I don't even think remember last week we couldn't play, by the way, we couldn't play certain clips or whatnot right out of Twitter. I had to download them. Still acting funny. If anybody's got a fix, let me know. But Russia could destroy all NATO countries in half an hour if there was a nuclear war, head of Kremlin Space Agency claims. Okay? So this is Rogozin. This is the person that he's having the fight with, by the way. Okay? In fact, we're going to follow him right now. I guess you have to request it, but we'll be following the guy that says that he can crush all NATO nations via nuclear war and his space agency.
What a marvelous time to be alive. Could you imagine if you were like following Hitler or Mussolini, General Mao? Could you imagine? Like, it's hilarious.
I feel like even then, like it wouldn't have been as high stakes.
I mean, people followed Obama and Trump and Biden.
Yeah,
war criminals too. So it's like, what a wild time to be alive, man. You can get right there, one tweet away from a murderous war criminal.
I mean, look, man, is he?
Man, I thought we'd have flying cars, but at least we can follow these reptilian bloodsuckers.
Well, if you think about it, John, this guy who's the head of that space agency is kind of like the counterpart to Bushnell, who we've played a ton of clips on. I just played a small clip actually over at the show I pre-recorded with Clay Clark that we're going to be putting up in a while. But you know what? Why not? Why not just give people what they want? Because I'm never going to be able to play all of this at the upcoming event in the Reawaken America tour in Myrtle Beach next week. That's where I'm going to be. And I'm going to be presenting Elon Musk, Dennis Bushnell. And by the way, shout out to Alex Jones and Infowars.com. They gave me the 4th hour this week on a Tuesday and 1 full hour to go hardcore on the Muskernuts. And I've gotten a lot of positive feedback on that, a lot of thank yous out there. So I want to thank you guys for spreading that out there and making that a successful deal. So first of all, let's talk about human-computer intelligence and what eventually he refers to as the global brain, okay? Because we got some choice clips right here. And eventually this is going to end up in what, John? Guess what? Not only creating a second species, but us uploading our consciousness to the machines, like the good humans we are.
Machines are capable of really good deep learning, and that's what most of the current AI is based on. The current AI is essentially soft computing. It's neural nets, fuzzy logic, algorithms, and the deep learning. The machines coming up as we leave silicon and go to bio, optical, quantum, nano, molecular, and atomic computing.
Did you hear that? He started that with bio. I just want to make everybody clear what he's talking about are humanoid machines. He's not just talking about regular AI. I'm going to go back 10 seconds for everybody so they can listen to that again, because we're talking about, essentially flesh and blood AI, a second species, as he will tell you.
Deep learning. The machines coming up as we leave silicon and go to bio-optical, quantum, nano, molecular, and atomic computing, there's another 10 to the 8th to 10 to the 12th to go. We've come 10 to the 8th so far. The machine intelligence, currently, there's the soft computing business, but no one really sees a way to get to humans via deep learning or soft computing. They just don't, not yet. There's no breakthrough in algorithms. What we are doing, which will get to humans, people now think, and this is what's worrying people, is the biomimetics part.
The biomimetics part. Okay, I want to. So again, he's telling you. You know how Klaus Schwab and DARPA are constantly talking about uploading not only a brain chip, but DARPA also talked about putting sensors in your body that would align with your body, that would track your heart rate, your blood pressure, your entire physiology. Now, listen to the danger he has to say about the biomimetics type of technologies.
This is where you nanosection the neocortex, replicate it in silicon, and you don't have to understand how it works. You just have to make it work this way as an artificial human brain surrogate. They will all go to Google.
Oh, God. So now he's talking about artificial brain surrogates, and then he's talking about a global brain as Google, as basically the Trojan horse civilian system. So listen to what he has to say about Google and the global brain and where that goes.
Okay, so this is now the de facto global brain, which will only get better, and we are busily, with nanosensors and other sensors, networking within 10 years some 3 trillion sensors. So the global brain will be fed with all of this information, okay, and it will have all of the contents of all the libraries, and it will read all of everybody's emails and
oh, it'll read all of everybody's emails. You notice how nonchalant this guy is about you have no privacy when these 3 trillion sensors are utilized by their global brain, which is Google. And you know what, we're going to just bring this down just for a second, because I want people to really understand that NASA and Google have had a relationship for some time. We've discussed this, but in 2019, they achieved quantum supremacy together. Quantum supremacy together. And look, this partnership, again, 2013, really in 2008, all right, they've been working together. So you're listening to him, the de facto global brain. And remember, Google censors things. Earlier, I was searching for something, and I was so upset at the search results I got, because their algorithms are keeping information from humans, and they're not empowering humans. They're enslaving minds.
Everything else, and so you end up with a really big global brain. That's different from intelligence. These people that you speak of that are worried about this are worried about the fact that as we develop, which we can now, it looks like via biomimetics at least in the next 10, 20, 25 years, a human level machine intelligence, there's the conventional rules of we're going to make it friendly to humans. Well, it turns out that people have now delved into that a bit, and they're not so sure we can do that.
Well,
okay? And a really good brain, human level and beyond machine intelligence, could easily produce untoward effects on humans. It wouldn't have to be malicious. It would just have to be unthinking and wipe us all out, given our huge reliance upon electrons in everything we do.
So let me just stop it right there. He literally said that you could create a biomedics AI situation where it wasn't even trying to be malicious to humans, but could wipe out the entirety of humanity just on a whim or by a mistake. Does that sound like something you want to be a part of, John?
You have no way. It turns out that we have no way of being able to control any of this stuff, but we're going to do it anyways.
I mean, how wild. This guy. So
Jesus
I
Christ.
just want to point out again.
Does this guy even listen to himself talking out loud? Like the lady's expressions herself are of horror, absolute horror. Oh my
So
God.
again, I just want to put this out there. The guy you're looking at is the counterpart to the guy who just said he could nuke all the NATO nations in 30 minutes. And I believe we played it on the show. Maybe we'll play it in a bit, where he talks about not only brain chips in humans, but he talks about the killer satellite systems. And specifically, he's asked a question about the Russian killer satellite systems. In fact, I think we played it here 2 weeks ago. We're probably going to end up having to play it again. But here we go. Now, this is where he really gets into it. He talks about us creating a second species, and then eventually what the road is to robotics, teaching our children everything, taking humans out of everything, and then we upload our consciousness and become the machines.
And in fact, what we're developing this time is essentially a second intelligent species. We are, with the biomimetics, where we're nanosectioning the neocortex and replicating it in silicon, people edge we're 10 to 15 to maybe 20 years max out from having a human level machine intelligence. The nano robotics is giving all the dexterity, human dexterity and so forth. So when one looks in the totality of the human versus the robot knows more. The robot has a much better safety record. In aviation, 85% of the safety issues are human factors. It's clear if you want a safer system, you have less humans.
If you want a safer system, you have less humans. We're creating a second intelligent species. They could wipe us all out without a problem. But, let's just continue with what this guy's saying here. I mean, has anybody got ears to hear?
The machines so far are more knowledgeable. The robot that we're using now to do cancer research and the cancer treatments is much better than the human physicians.
And remember, Joe Biden announced that DARPA is going to create...
I mean, is that really saying that much, though? Because human physicians are pretty awful.
Bro, so you know what? I wasn't going to bring it up here, okay? But, we haven't talked in a couple weeks, right? And when I got back, I ended up having to go to an ear, nose, and throat. And initially, they're just financially coaching me on what I'm going to have to pay because I'm paying out of pocket. And I'm the total anomaly because even people that pay out of pocket, they usually sign up for some kind of assistance or whatever and all that other stuff and blah, blah. I refuse to do any of that stuff, right? Because I don't want to give them an excuse to do more. And I know
that's the boat I'm in. That's the boat I'm in.
Listen, man, and the thing
I'm
is,
paying cash. I luckily through MMA, I know some doctors.
Mhm.
So if I need something, I can make a phone call and get in on them, and they'll just charge me cash at their cash price.
So, again, in this kind of journey, I was right about the BPV, right? And it should have been something that immediately after I went to a clinic, they should have gone me to a physical therapist and let me do that. Instead, I went through all these other things. They told me I had that cholesterol granuloma, right? So finally, I go to an ear, nose, and throat. And this is after my BPV is gone for 2 weeks because I've been on the road or whatever. And initially, they want to give me an auditory test and like a couple of them. And so they bring me in and they're about to do this test. And I go, can we just stop for a second? And the lady's like, okay. And I go, just so you understand, I haven't talked to anybody about these tests you want to run other than the secretary that called me about the pricing. And I go, one of the things she talked about was an endoscopy, which I told her 100% we were not going to be doing. And for those that don't know what an endoscopy is that is where they shove something up your nose or down your throat. This would have gone into my head, okay? Up my nose and into my head. So I just basically said, no one's even talked to me about anything. There's nothing wrong with my hearing. I go, and I bet that you still have in your chart that I have severe vertigo. She's like, I do. And I go, well, that was BPV, so I don't have that. I go, my only problem is with my eye. I go, They'd gotten me where they said I had a cholesterol granuloma, so something's in my head, and I brought my MRI with me. Okay? That changed everything. I was about to spend, in that room alone, probably about $3,000 for 4 different tests I did not need, nor did I want. Okay? If they had gotten their way. So I said no to all those, and she goes, you need to talk to the doctor first. I go, thank you. So then I had to wait 2 hours more for an appointment I already had at 10:10 before a doctor even came in. All right? So finally they do like a fork auditory test, right? So that they don't have to charge me crazy money or whatever. Okay? They realize my hearing's fine. They look at my MRI. Now they want to do a CAT scan. Okay, John? And the CAT scan's going to cost me $3,000. I get 30% off, so like a little over 2. But of course, it's the only thing they're offering me that makes sense, right? That gets to look in my head or is supposedly going to give me any answer whatsoever. So I decline everything else. I come back 2 days later. I get the CAT scan. I again wait another 2.5 hours past my appointment time to talk to the doctors for them to come in to tell me, are you ready for this? You don't have a granuloma. We don't know what it is. It's just fluid. It's probably going to go away. You should probably go see an eye specialist about your eye. We don't know what's causing that. I saw 2 eye specialists that brought me on this journey first because they don't know. I'm very happy that you're telling me that there's nothing wrong with me and that this is going to go away. But at the same time, I'll say this.
The buck.
Well, you know what? No one's charged me anything for this yet. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get a bill, right? But it was, if you watch this system, this is how crazy the system is, guys. I watched everybody come in, and the first thing they do is make you sign off that your insurance can get charged for this. And then the next thing they do is they're ready to charge you for a copay. Everybody. But because I was that anomaly they never see, no one knew what to do. They threw me out of the office at one point. They literally, I was standing there for 5 minutes and going, listen, I don't want to walk out on you guys. I don't want to have a collection agency coming after me. Let's pay this. They said, we'll bill you. Get out of here. So we'll see. Hey, maybe this works out, but it's just no one could tell me anything. And the first thing I thought I had within 2 days, I had it. And it cost me thousands of dollars when it shouldn't have. So yeah, the medical system is
thousands of dollars for them to tell you what you already knew.
And scare the fuck out of me. Dude, they had me talking like this thing in my head could have been a benign tumor. You know what I mean? And all of them were talking to me in the beginning like it was over for me. Like they were giving me that, oh my God, this guy's got a brain cancer look. It's like, yo, fuck you. So anyway,
we gotta cut your head open. Look,
my God. Well, thank God, a lot of people said no to that.
See, this is the drill we're gonna use. It's a $2 million drill. We got it.
And again, my eyes still. So guys, if you want to see my Clark Kent look, what I've been doing is these are just like blue blockers. One of the big irritations for me, and this eye, especially for the strain, has been the light. I've noticed I've done better. So when I'm doing my work and I'm not on my show, I am wearing these. But my eye's still messed up. Who knows, man?
Get some red sunglasses. Sometimes I wear my aviators in here. They look awesome. The lights in the mirror.
I did a bunch of other work. I finally got.
Lights it up, man. Get that style going.
I like the style. So you know what, guys? We talked a little bit about. Let's get back to Bushnell because this is where the fun stuff goes. Okay. It's not only just Dr. Robots and robots taking over, and we don't know what we're doing with the human beings. Let's continue.
The teachers are, in fact, more effective, the robot teachers, in educating children. They're more creative, the child has more control, and so forth and so on. The studies show that children learn 4 to 5 times faster than they do in the conventional schools, and that's because conventional schools, they have a large amount of time keeping order.
A large amount of time keeping order. See how they want to keep everything in order? They want to take you away from human beings. They say that this is the best path. It sounds good in theory, but there's no way a robot is going to be more creative with your child. Okay? Human interaction is necessary. And I'm not trying to tell you that there are a lot of shitty human teachers out there. There are.
Oh, yeah. Especially right now. A lot of groomers.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. There's a lot of bad things going on.
How about we try to create our society and focus our society around parents being at home with the children? Oh my God. Having extended family so grandma and auntie can look after them. Oh wow, how original. Wow, that could never work though, because everybody has to have multiple jobs in the household and fuck staying married and all that stuff. And let's have the state paying large ransoms to women getting pregnant and not letting the fathers in the child's lives. Yeah, that's great.
And those are all real systems that are tearing us apart. Later on we should talk a little bit about the Roe v. Wade thing and the different aspects of that. But let's let Bushnell get it out, because we still got another 2 minutes of transhumanist glory here from Dennis, that again wants computers and AI and robotics to teach your children, but not amongst other children, because there's not enough order. Okay, do you understand? It's isolationism. It's the move to transhumanism.
The classmates are not always supportive for people who are brainy and intelligent and so forth and so on. So that the total education system for the robot teacher tends to be better. There will be essentially no jobs the machines cannot do. We currently have creative software that are doing ideation just as good or better than humans now. The creative jobs will be the last ones to go, but I have not been able to discern any jobs that machines cannot do as machine intelligence and all the rest of the autonomous robotics develops. So now we're to your question.
What an unimaginative person.
I mean,
what an unimaginative, uncreative person. just the idea of sales and entertainment.
Yeah,
how
plan to take
in
that
the
away.
world are you going to create a robot that can do those things?
Well, entertainment. I think they're bringing in AI. I just saw. In fact, I almost played it here on the show. Maybe I should find it.
No, man, I don't. You really think they're going to be able to create an AI that's going to be as entertaining as Jim Carrey or somebody, Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor?
So
these guys,
bro, that's what I think
they're
going to
create
happen.
AI that it's because this shit's going to be woke. It's not going to be allowed to be raw and real. If you're got a brain chip
and you're told if you're told what you have to believe and what you have to feel, and when endorphins come on, the person or AI doesn't really have to be talented. I talked about it a little bit with the Chappelle incident. I believe in the next 20 to 25.
Well, a lot of reasons things are entertaining or funny is because of the prevalence of how they match reality.
I agree.
I don't think a robot's going to ever be able to do that, because they're not going to be able to experience and feel those things. Or like how they're going to, and it's going to be programmed too. So like the people who are programming these machines are going to program them to be woke and have these woke ideals.
Here's where I'm
at. It's not funny. Like already the left can't meme. That's already well known. They can't meme. So like you're going to tell me, oh yeah, we're going to have these robots that are going to step in and take care of every single thing.
I would imagine most of the robots we're talking about aren't ever going to be physical. Okay, because that's why they want to move you to the metaverse. Yeah. That's number one. Okay, and number two, the thing about the Chappelle thing, because I was talking about how at max, this guy who went up and insulted him on stage is only going to get 18 months. That's max. He could get a lot less. And Chappelle's pissed, and rightfully so, right? But I think that's because they're trying to move celebrity culture out, especially celebrities that challenge them, because they are going to be able to mimic them based on algorithms, maybe not physically with robots, but CGI. And I think a lot of the teachers, for instance, it's not like your kid is going to be thinking they're talking to a robot. Have you seen what Google AI already looks like? It looks like a blonde dude in a shirt. And we already have AI news anchors. We've covered it on this show in other countries. So I think, if you already have a zombified populace, then you start introducing human brain interfaces, within the next 20 years. I think that you move outside of the celebrity culture. You've almost converted the celebrity culture to social media culture anyway, whereas the vast majority of kids aren't thinking about being movie stars or on a TV show as much, but doing their own thing and being a YouTuber, right, and being that personality. And I think that that's going to be expounded upon via this multiverse and VR move, unfortunately. That's why, John, the nuclear family and destroying it is so important. That's why it's so important that, we want your kid to learn at home, but not from you. From a robot on a screen, right? Like, that's why.
When it's home, it needs to learn from a robot on a screen. And the other times, it's going to be with us at our schools being brainwashed into learning what we want you to.
Exactly.
Just the whole the whole idea, the whole narrative of the way life is supposed to happen and how we're supposed to live. Oh no, you've got to do these things to go to school, to get an education, to get a high paying job, to live in a big city. Bullshit. There's plenty of places in this country that are like away from other people that are affordable, where you can set up and homestead and live off grid, and you don't need the government. Like, that's a form of life. That's a happy form of life too. You don't, like, the idea that there's only one way for everybody to live is ridiculous. This is the only way. Everybody has to have city life and be Sex in the City girls and get college degrees, and it's all bullshit.
I don't disagree.
All you got to do really is have shelter, have people who love you, and have like food to eat. That's life, man.
I agree, man. But again, so many people out there, I think they're just so spiritually shot, right? They're so disconnected from humanity. They're the people that have to post on social media 20 times a day.
Their religion is consumption, and nowadays, it's the old, people say they misquote it all the time that money is the root of all evil. It's not money that's the root of all evil. It's the love of money that's the root of all evil. And people have replaced God. And I'm not saying that you have to be devout Christians or any other religion, but people have replaced God or the idea of God with different things. And you can never have enough of every other thing.
No, I agree 100%.
Ends up conquering you and owning you.
Well, the thing is, there's no accountability to anybody but yourself. And that's a very narcissistic viewpoint, right? Yeah. And that's not to say that if you have the viewpoint that there isn't a God, that you can't be moral. But most of these people out there that don't believe in a God essentially believe that they can do anything. It's a do as thou wilt, very Crowley-esque, satanic kind of an ideology where you're the most important thing. You can manipulate
look at the physiognomy of atheists. They're just ugly. They're just ugly. like name one that's like, oh man, that's the ideal life in person. That's awesome.
I'm not even trying to get into that, kind of like moralistic debate or questionable debate. But the thing is that if you don't believe in anything but yourself, then you are kind of just so sociopathic on a level that you can't understand. You're the type of person, and we'll get into the Roe v. Wade after we play this clip, that'll go out there, and I've seen it, and I've gotten these arguments that go, I don't want no redneck state to decide what I can do with my body. And I go, first of all, no redneck state is, and number two, you're telling me you hate rednecks and they don't get a decision. When did you become king? Why don't you just admit to everybody you think you're better and smarter than other people, and they don't get a decision or a choice in a democratic process to vote on how they live their lives because you said so.
They're supremacists. They think they're better than everybody else. They know better than everybody. We have to regulate everybody else because we know better.
That's right. And I don't want to be treated like a child. I'm an adult. So here we go.
The whole nonsense around this leak, anyways, is first off, like, if we stick to the laws of the country, that person who leaked it should be executed.
Well, yeah, but we'll never do that.
I know, but it's treasonous. I mean, bottom line, it's a treasonous act to tamper with the highest court in the land. I'm sorry, but that's right up there with giving war secrets to Russia or China.
Well, you know what? I
don't see a difference.
Let's save it. Let's save it start to finish for after this clip, because we're almost done. So guys, here it is. Here's where he tells you the real run up to what's going to happen on us merging with machines and becoming the machines, uploading our consciousness. This is the virtual age.
There's essentially three options. You've covered one, which is the guaranteed income.
Universal basic income.
The machines can produce the productivity, the wealth necessary to pay this. It's just the machines do the work instead of the people. Yes, you have to change the cultural milieu, but this is eventually doable. This is only one approach. The second approach is the fact that what's changed since you last looked at this is the whole technology level, and we humans are now converting ourselves into cyborgs. We now have artificial retinas, artificial hearts, we have brain chips. DARPA's working on brain chips for super soldiers. We can have a high bandwidth COM port built in, so we don't have to use the sensors and their very limited bandwidth. And eventually this all ends up with uploading into the machines, and instead of us versus them, humans versus the machines, we become them, or they become us, or you end up with human contaminated machines. Now,
so there it is, guys. I mean, they're essentially telling you that human beings are over, and this should be the discussion. Transhumanism, regulation of your health, Bill Gates, an unelected bureaucrat, starting Germ with the United Nations and doing videos with puppies. Okay, this is what it's all about. But they'll have us argue via Roe v. Wade. So let's talk about that decision, really. Number one, we don't know whether or not that was going to be an actual decision that got through. There's some stories out there that says that Justice Roberts has not been allowing that decision to be made for over a year. So there have been drafts for over a year in that case. And for those that don't understand how Roe v. Wade came into fruition, let me give you just a little synopsis. There were states that allowed it. There were states that did not allow it, where it was completely illegal. The ruling was, because Georgia had a law that said you could do it there, is that a federal right, a constitutional right? Now, really, we never amended the Constitution, but that's what the Supreme Court rules on, is constitutional rulings. So they rule because of the precedent that has been set in Georgia that this is now the national precedent. Now, let me push back here.
It was very flimsy language, though, wasn't it? Because ultimately it was the right of a woman to have secret medical procedures, to not have to tell anybody about any medical procedure that she had.
Well, and
Not
also
even the father of the
because
child.
the ruling was based in the fact, because it was legal there, it had to be legal in all 50 states. Okay? Now, here's where the slippery slope begins.
Which is flimsy. It's flimsy case law.
Well, it's super flimsy case law because, again, even Joe Biden would admit in several interviews in the past that it takes two people to create a person. And you guys can hate me all you want, but I've always felt betrayed that a woman gets the outright decision on what happens to my unborn child. And, quite frankly, it happened a couple times to me without my knowledge, period. I was never given a choice.
The fact that there is no, that a man has zero say in what happens to his DNA after it leaves his body is an issue. The fact that a woman can choose to abort the child and not have anything, and be done with it, but the father doesn't have a right to choose not to be involved financially.
That's right.
Either party should have the ability to say, nope, I'm out. Either way. The father doesn't want to have the child. He should have a right to say, I'm not involved. On top of that, I don't think that's the way to go. I don't want that to be the way to go. I'd rather have it be legal and then force both people to have dual custody. I think that would be much better at forcing people to think twice about who they're having sex with. If you're going to be forced to deal with that person and share your child with them, you're not even going to get guaranteed a pay ticket from it. I think that would force a lot of people to be a little bit more considerate about where the jizz is going.
Well, let me say this,
because look, we have abstinence, you have condoms, you have 40 different types of birth control options, and you still have the option of abortion. You have the Plan B pill, so you have an abortion pill that's good up to a month. You have a lot of time and energy and stuff before you get to that point where you would even need an abortion, and then you still have a few months to figure out you've missed your period once or twice, you're pregnant, maybe you should do something about it. A lot of this has to do with the time frame of the abortions. Most of the things aren't making abortion illegal. They're not saying it's illegal to have an abortion. They're trying to limit the time is to 8 weeks or 6 weeks, first trimester, rather than, the baby's crowning, you can kill it still now.
Well, let's talk about that.
I had heard that they started a bill in California saying that if mother had 7 days to kill her child after birth,
Yeah.
And
No,
she would be fine.
and that's where it comes.
Basically, it's the dumpster baby bill. It's legalizing dumpster babies.
Well, again, let's talk about it, because if the precedent is set via Roe versus Wade that one state has these laws, then every other state must follow, then you are talking about a precedent where it's not agreed upon, say, first trimester, 3 months, right? And you talked about some of these states passing bills basically banning it beyond 3 months. And there are places where 6 months is okay. And yes, I just watched a clip where legislation had been introduced that the kid could actually be crowning, and it is still not considered a life. We've seen the video, for instance, of the former Virginia governor talking about the baby being kept comfortable but not resuscitated. What are you talking about? What does that mean? That means starving a baby to death or not giving it medical attention after it's born and considering that an abortion?
Shot for pain, so it shuts up while it dies.
Well, once again, if you think about that and those things being passed, you could argue that because of the flimsy language in Roe versus Wade, those things would have to be taken on federally. Okay? And all this decision does is put it in the hands of the state what they want their abortion laws to be and what the window in which they are allowed to occur. Okay? And I'm sorry, but I'm just one of those guys, and you can hate me for it or not, that, again, like John said, if that woman wants nothing to do with the baby, but I want everything, I will pay the bills for the medical procedure. That you will sign over the child to me, and I will take full custody and full responsibility. Yep. I'm not even given that option. And quite frankly, I don't think that there will be any legislation introduced to that effect at all in any states.
Kill the party. It's a term that's used in red pill world. Kill the party. That a woman is in that position where she'll kill that baby so she can get back to the party.
It's really troublesome to me, especially because for those that don't know, my mom had me when she was 15 years old, and my brother came a year and a half later. You know what I mean? And, we're two products of a teenage mother, and I'm obviously happy to be around, guys. I'm really happy my brother's around, too. And anyone who thinks that's funny or, they're, oh, man, she made the wrong decision. The world's the worst place because Jason Bermas is in the world. Hey, man, you're allowed to have that opinion, but how about fuck you, okay? And I'm sorry, it's just one of those things where I can't think in retrospect that would have been a good decision for her. And I realize that there are a lot of people that have been kind of fooled into this false sense of empowerment by making that decision. But be honest with yourself. Over the years, has that decision weighed on you? Has it made you feel like a better person? Did it really empower you? Or have you thought a lot about what life would have been like if you became a family person? If you had somebody that you loved unconditionally, that loved you unconditionally, that you actually had to care for, that you had to think about more than yourself for a fleeting moment. I mean, I know that you have two sons, John, and I'm sure the birth of each of them and the involvement of each of them severely changed your outlook on life and your daily deal.
Yeah, but I always wanted kids. I've always wanted kids. It was always my focus to want kids and to be a father. That was my main driving goal. I wanted to be a world champion and make money and do all the things that I could because I wanted to have kids and I wanted to retire early and spend as much time as I could with the kids. But I was in one of those situations where I'd accidentally gotten somebody pregnant and they wanted to keep partying. And, I was ready to take responsibility for the kid, but 9 months of not partying was too much.
Just sad, man. It's just sad. So, I want to just circle back here because we do have this up and I think people should see it. So, as I was talking about, we were just playing the head of NASA's space agency's counterpart, Dmitry Rogozin, and Elon Musk is threatened by the head of Russia's space agency for providing internet access to Ukrainians. SpaceX CEO jokes, because it's funny to Musk. He realizes he's just a puppet. If I die under mysterious circumstances, it's been nice knowing you. But his mom doesn't find it funny. And those tweets that we couldn't bring up earlier, we can see them right here. This is right here. And you can see it from the testimony of the captured Chief of State of the 36th Marine Brigade of Armed Forces of Ukraine, Colonel Dmitry Kormyakov. It follows that the ground-based subscriber equipment of the Starlink satellite company Elon Musk has delivered to the militants of the Nazi Azov Battalion and the Marines of the Armed Forces of the Ukraine to Mariupol by military helicopters. According to our information, the delivery transfer to the Armed Forces of Ukraine P.O. boxes for receiving the transmitting the internet from Starlink was carried out by the Pentagon. Elon Musk is thus involved in the supply of fascist forces in the Ukraine with military communications. And for this, you will have to answer in an adult way, Elon, no matter how much that you play the fool. Thank you. It only took the Russian military, what, about a month after he started doing this to acknowledge exactly what I was saying? But, that should let people know that we're ahead of the game here. Okay?
Russian disinformation.
I mean, is it Russian disinformation? I think everything that they talked about and utilizing is absolutely real. And just so you know, dude, remember we talked about the Easter weekend launches, right?
You're a racist, you're a Nazi, or it's Russian disinformation.
Well, he's couch surfing, so there's that. Where is it? Right here. Here it is. So, yeah, hopefully we'll be able to hit this one here. But it was just 2 days ago when I was on Tinfoil Hat. Man, it doesn't want to load, but I assure you it was here. Man, my computer is just... We might have to do a full reboot when we go home. But there it is right here. Hold on. SpaceX launches spy satellites. We'll do it live. X launches spy satellites. And out of the National Reconnaissance Office, let's do news. Let's do sorted by date. And there you go. It's right here. So 3 days ago, watch SpaceX launch a batch of Starlink satellites from the Space Coast, but also the classified spy satellites as well. Let's see if we can find that. That's more Yahoo News. Land a rocket today. Man, I had spy satellites literally in there, but it looks like that's the hardest one to find. Weird. Weird how they don't want you to know that information. John, we had fights. John.
Had a lot of fights, man.
Yeah. I watched Bellator.
PFL, bare knuckle, Bellator, boxing, and UFC.
I missed the boxing. I was surprised that Canelo lost. You watch that fight?
I was surprised until I heard later that night that he went vegan before this fight.
I know. I heard that too. Like Luke talked about that as well. Oh, man. Yeah. So you had that.
He moved up in weight while being vegan. Like, he really screwed himself.
Bad.
But yeah, like, I was watching other stuff and I was doing stuff and I was watching it out of the corner of my eye, and it just looked like Canelo could not connect anything. He was hitting him in the elbows and the forearms and the shoulders. But Bivol, I guess, has supreme defense. He can just sit there and deflect, and then he was landing some good counters. And Canelo looked flushed. He's a ginger, so that happens a little bit more. But his face was more red than usual, and he looked really, really red, really gassed.
Interesting. So
frustrated.
Obviously, the UFC card, other than the Rose Namajunas Stinkfest, where I believe she actually did deserve to lose. There wasn't a lot going on there, but she did absolutely nothing, right? Was a great card, really fun card. Tony Ferguson looked great until he got caught with that kick that put his lights out. What are your thoughts?
Great fight, great night. The Oliveira looked like a machine. He looked amazing. He looks really good. Now that he's won a few fights and he's won them handily, though, kind of the way he has, man, I kind of want to see him and Khabib.
Everybody's talking about that, and I kind of want to see that too. I don't know that it happens. Khabib looks like he's put on quite a bit of weight. I bet you that 155 cut is going to be tough for him. Maybe they do a super fight at 170, and that way it's a one-off. So even if Khabib wins, they still have to win.
But I don't know, man. I don't know. Have him fight again so that, he wins the title back. And then, I don't know, maybe start buzzing it now. Maybe Khabib starts getting on the, the Wake Up Bible.
What is your thought on...
Trims up, because it would be pretty great to see Khabib, and I don't know, man. That seems like a cool fight, because Oliveira is one of those guys who off his back is very mobile. Most guys are not. That's one of the reasons why people are excited about the Tony Ferguson fight, because Tony is one of those guys who actually fights the way you're supposed to, the way they used to in the back in the day, where you open up and you try to finish from your back, you strike from your back, throw elbows from your back, you try to sweep, you try to get up, right? Before they started allowing positional improvements for the guy who stalled the best on his back. The guys who closed their guard, held onto the arms and did nothing and stalled, and then they get rewarded with getting stood up. Like that's killed the sport in the last decade, I believe.
What do you think about the weigh-in situation? Do you think that, I mean, again, he came in under 156. I realize it's a 155 fight. It sounded like there was a digital scale. We've all seen the slide scale be sketchy now and again, and them using it. What are your thoughts?
You got it. He's a professional. He's been doing this how many years? How long has he been doing this? You've got to have the knowledge of like checking the scales, bringing your own scale, having extra scales to check, being conscious of where your weight's at meticulously. Like I can just know, like, guess how much I'm going to weigh before I do, because my meals and my diet and like everything I'm consuming is so regulated. It's just, I don't know how you make a mistake that bad, half pound. Like,
I don't know, man. I feel like, again, he thought he was on, and all of a sudden he wasn't on, and he couldn't get rid of 0.5, which then was 0.2. And I don't know, man. I just feel like he lost a lot of his purse. He might have even lost his pay-per-view points. It felt like they gave Gaethje almost every advantage possible in that fight.
That's just wondering. That's the thing, is like, do they not like Charles Oliveira? Does the UFC not like him? Is his contract not as favorable as somebody else? Do they not want him to be a champ anymore? Do they want to push him out? They want to get rid of him. You don't know what's going on behind the scenes. He might not be a good company man, or he doesn't speak English, so he's not enough of a fan draw, or whatever BS. They have all kinds of BS reasons why because it's a production. It's not a sport. It's a production. So if their leading role is somebody that they don't think is going to make him as much money, or they don't like they're just going to change him somehow, and they can't just kick him out. So they got to try to screw with him as much as possible. This could be one of those things. Let's mess with him. Let's say he's the off weight, because I've had plenty of experiences where I stood up on the scale and I was close and I moved my arms a little bit, and as soon as the thing touched the line, the guy's like, "Yep, 171 or 170." You know, like, they're quick. It almost feels like sometimes these guys are told, make sure this guy makes it. I swear to God, it feels like that. You're not supposed to say that as a fighter, but I'm saying I've seen certain things, and some guys, they're very meticulously over scrutinizing. Oh, it's not, it's like, oh, it's a hair. It's not staying there. I've seen other guys with barely touches the line. Whoop, he's on.
I've seen the same thing, and I watched a lot of weigh-ins, dude. That's why I'm saying what I'm saying. And you know what?
And them stripping the belts away, that could be just a leverage move for them. I don't know.
I hate to be the conspiracy theorist on something like that.
I would not be surprised at all if they're like Conor versus whoever, and it's not even Charles, for the vacant title.
Well,
like,
they've said he gets it.
I would not be surprised at all.
You're sounding like a conspiracy theorist, Fitch. Look, I had another show. I've got to get ready because we're taking off in the morning for South Carolina. We didn't even go over the website, what you're up to. I know you're doing Learn to Fight. You're still doing John Fitch Knows Nothing. Mm-hmm. Tell people where they can find you.
Yeah, man. Check out my YouTube, official John Fitch, or check out the Fitch at Fitch Rockfin. I got stuff going up there.
And guys, we're on the Rockfin as well. We just hit 67,000 subscribers over on YouTube, but we are 55,000 plus strong. And I'm going to be putting the Clay Clark interview in full over at the Rockfin. I'm probably not going to be able to do it in full over at the YouTube because there was some COVID-19 84 talk. Next week, I'm hoping we're going to do a show, but I'll let you know depending on where I am on the road, because this thing doesn't end until Saturday, and we're talking a 16-hour drive, straight shot to the Baby Maker, and I'm stopping in Virginia on the way back through. So, Fitch, as always, a pleasure. I love me some mixed martial mindset, and guys, we will catch you on the flip side.
I'll check you later.